Hi Miriam, thank you for uploading your homework and your photo shoot. Great stuff. Let's jump straight in. So this is a great example, excellent, of traffic lines, 1/10 of a second. This is great. Let's just see how steady you held the camera. You held the camera pretty steady. Yeah, excellent, excellent, excellent. We can see that there's really no camera shake at all. And I do appreciate this. I don't know if you were thinking about this, but I love this this like overlay of the whatever you call it, the wire fencing in front of you. Adds a lot to the image. Great, nicely composed, good composition. But the point is that you really nailed the exposure, and you nailed these traffic lines. Excellent. Just as a side point, just to notice, see these. This is called starburst. Okay, you're not holding there yet. You got, I think, the next class you're going to see this, understand this. But this is because you used a very small aperture, which you'll learn about in the next class. That created this cool starburst. I love that. Okay, great, good stuff. Okay, let's look at these pictures now. Now, there's something very important to learn from these. Okay, done great. I think the thing is, though, I don't know if he's moving as quickly. Let's just assume that he's moving as quickly as he is over here. Okay, let's just assume that. It seems to me that he might be moving a little less quick, but doesn't matter. Okay, at a 15th of a second, we can see for sure there's nothing doing. You cannot capture movement at a 15th of a second. That's obvious. Okay, and also what's obvious is at a 60th of a second, you also cannot capture movement, as in there will be movement blur. You will not be able to pin sharp catch movement at a 60th of a second. However, at a 1,000th of a second, you can. Okay, it's very important to remember that as a benchmark number, that when you have someone running, my goal is to get a shutter speed of at least a 1,000th of a second. At a 1,000th of a second, you are for sure going to get a sharp image, as long as you've gotten the correct focus. Remember, that's different. But you'll be able to, for sure, freeze the action at a 1,000th of a second. Okay, so this is a great example. And you'll see, it's basically without exception, a human being cannot run quick enough that a 1,000th of a second will not capture the movement. If you were taking pictures, however, at like a racetrack, say for example, with a race car that can go a lot quicker than a human being, then you would see that a 1,000th of a second probably would not cut it, and you'd be needing to use a quicker shutter speed. Okay, so that's a great demonstration. These three pictures really demonstrate that. Remember, like I said, it's a very important lesson that a 15th of a second for sure doesn't freeze action. A 60th of a second also for sure doesn't freeze action. A 1,000th of a second, a thousandth, of a second for sure does freeze the action when it comes to a person. Okay. This is a great example of panning, done really well here. I think that maybe a flash went off, actually. 1 second, let's have a look. No, it didn't go off. Okay, so you've done really well here. I bet this took a few attempts, but you've done really well. This is a really nice picture. Really good shot. Nice one. So we can see that because you were shooting a 15th of a second, and moving the camera, the background becomes blurred. Okay, we have motion blur on the background. Not that the background was moving, but that you were moving in comparison to the background, relatively to the background, which meant that the child was not really moving relative to your camera because you were moving your camera with him. Okay. This is your Not Me in 3. A couple of people also entitled it Not Me in 3. Okay, a couple of other people. This is great. Okay, it's got a little bit overexposed, but it's really a very good example of what we're going to be doing here. We can see that he stayed still a little bit better over here than he did over here. He was also in this position for longer than he was over here, because we can see he's a little bit more visible. Okay, and again he moved slightly over here, but this gets the idea. Okay, you get the idea. That's great. A good example. Nice one. Okay, beautiful, excellent. As they say over here, Esser. That's a great shot. I think we're going to take this one into Lightroom and just bang out the eyes and brighten the skin a teeny little bit, but it's very intimate. And I'm not going to use the word intense because you can't use the word intense for a child's face, but remember, cropping in close gives you the two eyes, intimacy and intensity, and there's just so much energy there. Gorgeous little face, looking off camera, that gives a kind of like mystique, kind of mystery to the image. All of this hair borders it beautifully, nothing distracting. She's rimmed perfect, she's framed exceptionally well. The skin is clear. I mean, this is quite a crop. I can see you've cropped in quite close, but this is excellent. If we just a few little tweaks in Lightroom, and we'll see this picture just go like through the roof. Excellent shot. Let's look at your stats. So you're in class 3. So anyway, you're going to learn more about the stats. The stats are okay. They're okay. They're fine. There's nothing like bad about them, so to speak, but they could definitely be a little bit better. But you'll learn as we move forward. You'll learn about that. Okay, this is great. I appreciate this picture. A little bit more room under here. Our eye just grazes. All we needed literally is another inch of picture just underneath. I think would allow for a more kind of relaxed feeling. As it is, this is our point of entry, and our eye comes down here. Okay, there's a great triangle, but our eye just grazes against the edge of the canvas. That just drops the pleasure of the picture down just ever so slightly. So I think a teeny with a little bit more room over here, but you've nailed the tensions of the picture. The kid's placed in the right place. It's a balanced image. Could be maybe to slither off the end here, but great shot. Lovely exposure, pin sharp. You nailed the focus. Excellent. Let's just have a look what you were shooting on. Okay, program, your camera did well. Okay, that's a great shot. Love it. Okay, now here, this is a good example. It's slightly not sharp. Now, this is an example where at a 200th of a second, you didn't hold your camera perfectly steady. We could think that it was maybe that you didn't get your focus, but I'm looking at this picture now, and there really isn't anywhere that is completely sharp, which means the fact that it isn't sharp is probably to do with the shutter speed. So, like I said, a 200th of a second, you can really forget about it, but you can't completely forget about it. Completely forgetting about your camera being held steady, completely forgetting about it happens at around 500, 640, definitely an 800th of a second, 1000th of a second for sure. Don't have to think about it at all. But a 200th of a second, we can see here that it was probably like one of those moments where it just it was a quick shot, whatever it was, and it wasn't perfectly steady, so your image isn't pin sharp. Okay. You've got a great exposure here. One thing that I would also mention is that we could crop a little bit of the top off here and leave a little bit more at the bottom. Remember, the direction of a face is we look at the eyes. We look at the eyes first, and our eye moves downwards. So we need a little bit more room at the bottom. That would just make it feel a little bit more balanced, a little bit easier going on the eye. Okay, good. The light here is nice. The light here is less nice. Again, so now you're shooting at a 1000th of a second, which means for sure the sharpness, that's not a problem with the it's not a problem with your shutter speed. So it must be that you've just missed the focus, but there's nothing that I can see closer. It looks like your focus is just a little bit too far back. A little bit too far forward, because there's nothing here in focus otherwise. But we can't see anything closer, so I can't know that for sure. But it's not pin sharp. It's not pin sharp. But I do appreciate the composition. And I would be trying to find a different background where we would be able to see his head like a little bit lighter, which would mean we'd be able to see the shape of his head a bit better. As it is, he's kind of blending into the background a little bit. Okay. Okay, good. This is nice. Okay, really nicely cropped in. paying attention to the space, which is excellent. Your sensitivity to the direction is good as well, because we can see, although his face is coming straight out, his body is turned a teeny little bit to this direction, and you left a slither more room over here than over here, which leads to a very like comfortable composition. Excellent. It could be I would maybe turn him a little bit more. But great. Also, what you're going to learn in the next few classes is getting your subject far away from the background. So obviously you haven't done that here, but you haven't learned about that yet. But that's going to make a big difference to your pictures. Okay, let's have a look. Let's take this one for sure. Let's take this one into Lightroom. Okay, great work, by the way. Excellent. Very impressed. You're doing excellently. Really. You should be proud of yourself. Let's have a look now. Okay, so first things first, I want the eyes. I need these eyes to be just a bit more than what they are. So I think we can do this under Iris Enhance. There we go. Just a teeny little bit, you see? That really does make all the difference. Even the fact that it's spilled a little bit over here doesn't really matter. Now, let's go to Brighten Skin, which puts the exposure up a little bit and the clarity up a little bit. Here we go. Let's just do this quickly around. So I don't want to go right to the bottom because I want to keep this dark area here so that we're framed, so that our image is framed. But this is really an excellent shot. Love it. Absolutely love it. Now the question that I'm thinking of here right now, this is really the edit, there's not really much to do, is would it be nice to use clarity on this hair over here? I'm not sure. Let's have a look. Let's see what happens. So we'll stay with our brush tool. Now this is bringing up the exposure a bit, and let's bring up the clarity a drop as well. So I think it's a bit distracting. I think we need to drop over here as well. One second, let's just move me out of the way. Oh wait, that was all the way to the... Okay, so this is the difference. I think that I prefer it being a little less understated and keeping our tension in the eyes and the face. But this is an excellent picture. This should for sure be on your website, and you're really getting there. This is great, really encouraging. Okay, all the best. Looking forward to seeing what you do for us next week.